The evening sky turned a vibrant shade of orange as the sun dipped below the horizon, bathing the quiet streets of the neighborhood in a warm, golden light. Ryan Davis, having retired from his years of service, walked slowly toward the animal shelter, his mind weighed down by the past. Memories of Titan, his steadfast German Shepherd partner, flooded his thoughts. Titan had been his protector, his companion, and his friend through countless dangerous situations, always there when Ryan needed him the most. It had been 2 years since Ryan last saw him, when the department retired Titan due to an injury. But today, a call from the shelter sparked a glimmer of hope. Could it be? Had they found Titan? The air inside the shelter was thick with the pungent scent of cleaning chemicals, mingled with the persistent sound of dogs barking in the background. Ryan walked up to the receptionist, who greeted him warmly. "Mr. Davis, we might have someone you've been looking for," she said, leading him down a narrow corridor lined with cages. When they reached the last pen, Ryan's heart skipped a beat. There, curled up in the far corner, was a large German Shepherd with a black and tan coat. His ears twitched at the sound of footsteps, but his body stayed motionless. His eyes were empty, lacking the familiar spark that Ryan once knew so well. "Titan?" Ryan whispered, his voice shaking. The dog slowly turned toward him, but there was no recognition in his gaze, no acknowledgement of the bond they once shared. Ryan's heart sank. "He doesn't remember me," he murmured, stepping back as the lump in his throat tightened. The shelter worker unlocked the pen, and Ryan's emotions overwhelmed him. His heart pounded as the smells of the shelter, the disinfectant, the animal musk, flooded his senses. Titan stood before him, but this was not the same dog he had worked with for years. The dog was tense, wary, and his tail hung low. The vibrant, loyal dog Ryan remembered was gone. In his place was a stranger, a frightened shell. "He's been through a lot," the worker said softly. "He was abandoned at another shelter before this one. His last handler couldn't handle his anxiety. He doesn't trust easily anymore." Ryan's chest tightened as he observed the dog. His scarred muzzle, the tangled fur, and the way he favored one of his back legs. "He wasn't like this," Ryan muttered, shaking his head. He knelt down slowly, extending his hand. "It's me, Ryan." Titan's amber eyes flickered in his direction for a brief moment, but there was no recognition. The dog turned away and retreated, the emotional distance between them palpable. Ryan felt a stab of rejection as the years of partnership and shared memories seemed to fade in an instant. "Would you like to take him outside?" the worker suggested, noticing the tension in the air. "Sometimes a little fresh air can help calm them." Ryan nodded, trying to keep his emotions in check. "Yeah, let's try that." They moved to a small fenced-in yard at the back of the shelter. Titan entered cautiously, sniffing the ground with uncertainty. Ryan took a seat on an old bench, watching him. Memories rushed back. Titan charging through training courses, barking in pursuit, standing by his side through the most dangerous situations. But now, the dog was a shadow of what he once was. "Titan," Ryan called gently, tossing a tennis ball in the dog's direction. It rolled a few feet before coming to a stop, but Titan only glanced at it before continuing to explore the yard at his own pace. Ryan leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees. "I don't know if you remember me, but I remember you. You saved my life more times than I can count. I won't give up on you." The words lingered in the air, carried away by the breeze. Titan sniffed the ball but didn't engage. His attention shifted to the distant sounds of other dogs barking. As the sun sank lower, casting a soft golden glow across the yard, Ryan made a decision. "I'm taking him home," he said to the worker, his voice firm. The worker hesitated for a moment. "Are you sure?" "He's not the same dog. He'll need a lot of patience." Ryan nodded. "Neither am I. But I owe it to him to try. He never gave up on me, and I'm not going to give up on him." After finishing the paperwork, Ryan led Titan to his truck. The dog hesitated at the tailgate, sniffing it cautiously before finally jumping in. Ryan had placed a soft blanket in the back, for comfort. The drive home was quiet, the only sound being the hum of the engine. Ryan occasionally glanced in the rearview mirror at Titan, who lay quietly, his gaze fixed on the world outside. When they arrived at Ryan's house, a modest home on the outskirts of town, Titan was slow to get out of the truck. His body tensed as he took in the unfamiliar surroundings. Ryan led him inside, walking slowly to avoid overwhelming the dog. He had prepared a quiet corner in the living room, a plush bed, a water bowl, and a few toys. "This is your space," Ryan said softly, pointing to the setup. Titan sniffed the air but didn't move. He stayed by the door, his posture stiff and uncertain. Ryan sighed, running a hand through his hair. "You'll get used to it," he murmured to himself. "We both will." That night, Ryan left the bedroom door open, hoping Titan would feel safe enough to come in. When the lights went out, Ryan heard the soft padding of paws on the floor. He stayed still, not wanting to startle the dog, but a spark of hope ignited in him when he heard Titan settle near the doorway. It wasn't much, but it was a start. The next morning, Ryan woke to the sound of soft movement in the hallway. As his eyes adjusted to the dim light, he saw Titan sitting near the doorway, watching him with a mixture of curiosity and caution. For the first time since they reunited, Titan didn't back away when Ryan stirred. "Good morning, Titan," Ryan said gently, sitting up. He didn't move, giving the dog the space to approach at his own pace. Titan turned slowly, padding back to his corner, but there was something different about his posture. A subtle shift, less tension, more curiosity. Ryan spent the morning quietly preparing breakfast, placing Titan's food near his bed. He didn't rush. He gave the dog space to adjust. As he ate, Ryan began to think of a way to help Titan remember their bond. They needed to rebuild their trust. An hour later, Ryan retrieved a box from his closet. Inside were old keepsakes from his days on the force, badges, medals, and Titan's worn collar. At the bottom of the box was a frayed rubber ball, the one Titan always nudged toward him to signal another game of fetch. Holding the ball brought a flood of memories back. Ryan carried the ball outside to the backyard, where Titan was sniffing around. "Look what I found," Ryan called softly, rolling the ball toward the dog. Titan paused, his ears twitching as the ball came to a stop in front of him. He sniffed it, but after a moment, he turned and walked away, retreating to the shade under the tree. Ryan's heart sank, but he masked his disappointment. "It's okay, boy," he whispered. "We'll try again later." Throughout the day, Ryan kept an eye out for small signs of progress. Titan's eyes following him, his ears perking up at certain sounds. These tiny shifts were enough to keep hope alive, even though Ryan knew it would take time. That evening, as the sun began to set, Ryan decided to try something familiar. He retrieved Titan's old training harness, worn from years of use, but still strong. Kneeling down, Ryan extended it toward the dog. "Do you remember this, buddy?" he asked softly. "We used to train together every day." His voice was filled with longing. Titan's ears twitched, and for a brief moment, Ryan thought he saw a spark of recognition in the dog's eyes. But Titan hesitated, sniffed the harness, and then backed away, retreating to his shaded spot once again. Ryan let out a slow breath, trying to suppress his frustration. It wasn't just the physical scars that needed healing. It was the emotional wounds, which ran far deeper. He knew rebuilding their bond would take time. Later that night, as they sat together on the couch, Ryan spoke softly, the weight of his words heavy with gratitude and regret. "I owe you everything, Titan. You saved me more times than I can count. I just wish I could return the favor now." As the evening wore on, Titan inched closer to Ryan, though he still maintained a respectful distance. Ryan stayed still, honoring the dog's boundaries, but there was a sense of progress in the air. Even if it was slow, it was still progress. In the middle of the night, Ryan woke to the soft sound of paws on the hardwood floor. He turned slightly, adjusting to the dim light, and saw Titan standing near the couch, his nose just inches from Ryan's hand. The dog hesitated, then gently brushed his nose against Ryan's fingers. It was a brief moment, but it filled Ryan's heart with overwhelming gratitude. "You're still in there, aren't you?" Ryan whispered, his voice thick with emotion. For the first time since bringing Titan home, Ryan felt a deep sense of hope that their bond could be restored. It was a small step, but it was enough. As Ryan drifted off to sleep, a quiet promise formed in his mind. He would help Titan heal, just as the dog had always been there to save him. The dog had given everything for him, and now it was Ryan's turn to return the favor. Thanks for watching.